Living by faith. The Bible said in 1 John chapter 5 verse 4, it said, this is the victory that overcomes the world. Whoever is born of God overcometh the world. This is the victory that overcomes the world. 1 John 5 verse 4. This is the victory that overcomes the world. Not the presence of a prophet, not the presence of an apostle. Thank God for the different anointings that God has made available in the body. We celebrate them. But this is the victory that overcomes the world, even our faith. We must learn and master the act of living by faith. Let me give you 6 reasons why it's a must to live by faith. Number 1, I've said it already, this realm was created by faith. So without faith, you can't succeed here. Your success is a function of living by faith. That's why 1 John 5:4 said, it is through faith that we live in victory. It says, whoever is born of God overcometh the world. This is the victory that overcometh the world, even our faith. This realm is a faith realm. Without faith, you can't succeed here. Without faith, you cannot have victory here. Number 2, why is faith a must? I said it already. Hebrews 11:6. Without faith, it's impossible to please God. Number 3, why is faith a must? Spiritual understanding is a function of faith. The Bible said, through faith we understand. Hebrews chapter 11 verse 3. Because the way spiritual things work, if you don't believe it, you can't understand it. This is why the people of the world struggle with spiritual things. They want to understand why they should give. We believe, we give, we prosper. And as we believe, God starts opening our understanding. So in this kingdom, understanding is a function of faith. This is why here, we don't see to believe, we believe to see. Jesus said, if thou shouldest believe, thou shouldest see the glory of God. The word says, you see to believe. We tell the word, you believe to see. Because our own understanding is tied to faith. Understanding is sponsored by the spirit of faith. Number 4, why is faith a must? Our righteousness is by faith. Everybody you see standing, making his boast in God, he's doing it because he believed in God. He's doing it because he believes in the finished works of Christ. Romans 10 verse 6. The Bible said, the righteousness that is of faith speaketh in this wise. So a man who doesn't believe in what Christ has done can never stand boldly before God. When we come before God, we don't come because we fasted for 100 years. We don't come because we have never smoked, we have never fornicated. We come because we believe that in Christ we were qualified. So the reason we stand righteous is primarily because of what Jesus did. And because of what Jesus did, we are also now empowered to live righteous. So even the empowerment to begin to live right comes when you begin to believe in what Jesus has done. So our righteousness in this kingdom is also a function of faith. Number 5, why is faith a must? Because the key to a glorious life is a function of faith. John 11:40. If thou wouldest believe, thou shouldest see the glory of God. So the level of glory your life commands is a function of your faith. And finally, why must we know the way of faith? The Bible said the just shall live by faith. They justified. So everybody Jesus declared justified. The Bible said that person can only live by faith. In Habakkuk chapter 2 verse 4, it said the just shall live by faith. In Romans 1:17, it said the just shall live by faith. In Hebrews 10:38, it said the just shall live by faith. So if you are justified, you cannot but live by faith. Galatians 3:11, the just shall live by faith. And in 2 Corinthians 5:7, it said we walk by faith not by sensory perception. I've outlined 5 principles here. Simple, basic principles I have outlined here. Number 1 is the principle of seeing and hearing. If you want to be a faith giant, the first thing you need to do is to create a very strong padlock on the gate of the eye and the gate of the ear. Whether you like it or not, you become what you see and hear. There is nothing you can do about it. Anything you see and anything you hear, that's what you become. In 2 Corinthians 3:18, we all with unveiled faces, beholding as in a glass the glory of the Lord, it said we are changed into that image from glory to glory as by the Spirit of the living God. The word change there is the word metamorpho. It's not just change of mindset. It's actually metamorphosis. The way an egg of a butterfly changes to a winged creature. That's what will happen to you. When you see and hear things, after a while, what you will become will not resemble what you were before you started seeing and hearing. If you want your faith to produce results, please censor what you hear and censor what you see. Your life depends on your faith. Number 2 principle of faith is the principle of speaking. Why what you see and hear makes you. What you say makes your word. What you see and hear builds you. But what you say builds your word. If you want your environment to be consistent with your vision, you must talk it to being. Notice that in Genesis chapter 1 verse 2, when the word was in chaos, the Spirit of God was moving, nothing happened. So you can fall under the anointing either when you are praying or when they are praying in church. You will stand up from there and be the same. The only thing that has the power to reconstruct your word are the words that you speak or the words spoken over you. In Job 22:29, he said, why men are cast down. It didn't say men say they are cast down. Men are actually cast down. He didn't say stand up. Because if you stand up, you will fall. He said, why men are cast down? First of all, he said, you say there's a lifting up. You must mentor yourself to speak what you want to become. People may think you are being braggadocious. That's their business. God knows your heart, that you are not trying to appear big. You are not trying to create impression. You are just deliberate about creating your tomorrow. If you want to succeed in this life and make impact, better edit your language. I don't know where things are going. I don't know if it will work. Oh, it's not working. Hi, things are bad. Edit it and replace it with prophetic words. That's how it will work. If something is not working in your life, instead of jumping up and saying it's not working, blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor is seated in the seat of the sinners, nor is standeth in the seat of the scornful, but his delight is on the law of the Lord. On this law doth he meditate day and night. He is like the tree planted by the rivers of living waters. He produces his fruit in his season. Glory to Jesus. I'm a tree planted by the rivers of living waters. I produce my fruit in my season. You have answered, it is not working. But you now answer from the realm of faith. The faith, the righteousness that is of faith does what? Speaketh. It speaks. Faith is never quiet. Faith talks. And it's in talking that faith changes the world. The third principle of faith is the principle of action. When you have seen and heard, when you have spoken, then you get to work where necessary. James chapter 1 verse 22 to verse 25. See what the Bible said. It said, but be ye doers of the word, and not hearers only, deceiving your own selves. It said, for if any be a hearer of the word and not a doer, he is like unto a man beholding his natural face in a glass. For he beholdeth himself, and goeth his way, and straightway forgetteth what manner of man he was. So he said, if you are not doing, you can't retain. You can't become. You can't be blessed. The next verse is say, but whoso looketh. That's why I say we are not just talking positive talk. We are talking the word. And whoso looketh into the perfect law of liberty, and continueth therein, he being not a forgetful hearer, but a doer of the work, he said, this man shall be blessed in his deed. When you see, you talk, and you do. In verse 26 of James 2, it says, faith without works is dead. Listen, everybody you see doing mighty works of faith saw something, heard something, said something, and did something. Nobody appears. Everybody grows through the rank. The fourth principle of faith is the principle of a conditioned atmosphere. Faith works in atmospheres. Anybody who knows faith will tell you, if the atmosphere is not right, faith will be immobilized. And there are 5 basic atmospheres of faith. The first atmosphere of faith is the atmosphere of prayer. Mark 11:24. This was Jesus speaking. Mark 11:24. Therefore, I say unto you, what things soever ye desire, when you pray, it says, believe that you receive them, and you shall have them. So what gets you to having what you desire is to believe. But your believing will not work except when you pray. So the atmosphere of prayer is the incubation ground for faith. The second atmosphere of faith is the atmosphere of a good conscience, pure conscience. If you want to walk in faith, listen, you cannot live maliciously. You cannot live with evil in your heart. It will choke it. The reason many people's faith don't work is because somebody has a problem with them, and they want to prove a point to that person that God is helping them. In 1 Timothy 1:19, it said, holding faith and a good conscience. It said, which some having put away concerning faith have shipwrecked their faith. So if you don't sustain a good conscience, it said the way a ship sinks, it said that's how your faith will sink. So if you want faith to work, your conscience must be pure. This is why a Christian is quick to forgive and forget. You can't carry that weight. It will kill your faith. Telling you why, you may practice principle 1, 2, 3, 4 and still not have result, because your atmosphere may be wrong. You need a pure conscience to walk in faith. Third atmosphere of faith is the atmosphere of love. Galatians 5:6. It says, faith walketh by love. A man can pray for the sick to be healed, to validate his ministry. Another man can pray for the sick to be healed because of compassion. 1,001 times, the man who prays for compassion's sake will have more results than the one who prays to prove a point. Because when it is love, God is involved. That's God's nature. A man who walks in love implicates God into the atmosphere. And so it's important for you to know, if it is faith you are talking about, you must master the art of walking in love. The fourth atmosphere of faith is an atmosphere where there is no doubt. If you entertain doubt, faith will die. Matthew 14:31. You are going to see what happened here. Jesus was walking on water. The disciples thought he was a ghost and shouted. They said, no, it is I. And Peter said, inspired by faith, if it is thou, bid me come. He said, come. And Peter started walking on water until suddenly Peter turned and saw the boisterous wind and began to sink. And in Matthew 14:31, Jesus ran quickly and held him. If Jesus didn't run, he would have sunk in God's presence. So people can sink in God's presence. Jesus moved quickly and held him and pulled him out and said, "O ye of little faith, why did you doubt?" That means faith can coexist with doubt. Faith is not the absence of doubt. Doubt can exist where faith is. But if you allow doubt take precedence, it will sink your faith. So a man must be careful to kill every form of doubt that the devil tries to bring into his soul. And finally, what atmosphere warrants faith is an atmosphere where there is no fear. In Luke 8:50, when he was going to raise Jairus' daughter, they said, "Trouble not the master, the lady is dead." Immediately, Jesus turned to her, "Fear not, only believe." Because if you fear, you will sink in my presence. Peter was sinking in the presence of Jesus. Fear not, only believe. Fear not, only believe. Know only what you need to know. Build your faith and live the victorious life. These are the principles of faith. And lastly, the last principle of faith is that the purpose of faith is for God to be glorified and for humanity to be helped. That's the summary of ministry. God empowers you so that you can glorify him and help humanity. So see, when you are before a cancerous patient, don't be troubled. God sent you to help her. There should be no battle of ego. Oh, if she's not healed, I'm not a man of God. Forget those things. If you are stirred and you want to make a declaration to inspire them, go ahead. But the whole idea behind praying for the cancer to go is for you to help her so that God will be glorified. So when you are going anywhere, tell yourself, I'm going to help humanity. I'm going to glorify God. And even if the person is not healed, at least you have shown them compassion. That is something. Paul planted, Apollos watered, God gave the increase. You are going to a territory to pray for people who are demonized. You are going to help. You are not coming as Jesus Christ. You are only his representative, trying to bring them the love, the mercy, and the help of God. If you know this last principle also, it will help you to walk in faith and to walk effectively.